Welcome to Mindfully Integrative Podcast with your host, Dr. Damaris G. Mindfully Integrative is a podcast discussing ways toward mindfully incorporating integrative health into our lives. This podcast will have informative resources, fun topics, interviews, and discussions relatable for today with a true mindful perspective in a mind-body holistic life approach.
Was asking about it the earlier today, and I wanted to answer it for them because they were talking about they had a lot of autoimmune issues, and they had a lot of brain health issues of like brain fog and things of that nature, and they were asking me how they can improve that. So it's kind of a buzzword, but nootropics means smart drugs or cognitive enhancers. There's medical medications that have come out for this purpose. Those prescriptions are, stimulants like Rhodiola or Adderall. Natural kind of options are omega-3, L-theanine, magnesium, iron, caffeine. And then there's also off-label medications for narcoleptics. So, there's a lot more involved in there. Now, evidence-based on the natural stuff, there's less information necessarily that has been proven for some of the nootropics. But when you understand the underlying inflammatory process and you want to improve the brain, like the brain-blood barrier and the circulation without, and you have more vasodilation and you calm the mind, the nootropics actually are pretty effective. So that's the general overview. Even for children, they are effective. Everything comes down to going slow, start low. Obviously follow healthcare professionals, disclaimer there, follow your, those that are in that knowledge. So it's like you want to keep it as positive, but you also want to be smart with what you are discussing with someone, but things can be done safely and at low dosage. So as I was speaking to Soda before, she was on and asking me about different things that are evidence-based. So there is an evidence-based information that has been out that can be used for brain health and cognitive enhancement. And majority of individuals, especially today with the amount of, shall I say, phone, computers, technology, things that switch up really quickly. We are more prone to having that quick thinking. And then also the food is a factor. So types of nootropics or cognitive enhancers, brain health things. The word nootropic itself it is Greek. The word itself, it means, it's a comprehensive word. I didn't come up with it. It's not my term. It's from the 1970s. It's from a Roman psychologist. His name is Dr. Cornel Gagaria. And he developed, it's called Enhanced Learning and Memory, Protecting the Brain from Injury and Improving the Efficacy of Brain Function with minimal side effects. So the idea is you're trying to take something low and slow so that it helps with brain function. So I'm a big fan of something that's going to be safe, low, slow, and effective. And that's kind of how I practice overall. If you can do something safely and you need a little something, that's okay, whether it's a prescription, a supplement, or, just basic breathing. If you can do something at a small increments, you'd be surprised how much you can do. And that just goes a long way. So mindful little ways every day. And in this sense, we're talking about nootropics. So origins of these started at like 1970s-ish. And then, that's when Adderall and the 80s and 90s were the big meds first came in. So when you were younger and you might not have known about certain medications, kids weren't medicated because the medications really weren't out until later on. And more studies started showing up. And then not until the 2000s and beyond were more supplement options other than medications used to help with brain health. So brain health can even mean not just ADHD or ADD or ASD. It could also mean for dementia or some other health issues. And the takeaway is just you're trying to enhance what you can in the brain and the brain's component. So let's go with and talk about the evidence-based types. So different types are for the brain, and that would recommend is omega-3. It's anti-inflammatory. The mechanism is anti-inflammatory. The mechanism of it. Hey, do you have a question, Rashid? Oh, no. All right. If you have any questions, you're welcome to. And I appreciate you being in the room. So thanks so much. No problem. Just Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll have this on my podcast, so you can always go back and refer it if you can't stay in. So no big deal. So omega-3 fatty acids are, one, it's a liquid, right? It's like oil. As I talk to people about the cells, so the cells are made of bilayers, bilipids, meaning they're fat layers. So these fat layers when you take omega-3, you're kind of helping that wall layer, that brick layer of oil, to be lubricated. So the reason it helps is it helps with not just brain, it helps with the entire body cellular level. But in the purpose with it is that it helps with fluidity, and it kind of oils those cells so that they are lubricated properly, and they kind of do their job. L-theanine, which is a green tea. You'll notice people that do have ADHD or any sort of ASD. Nice to meet you, Rashid. Oh, thank you so much for even sharing this out. That's very sweet. That actually is, it promotes relaxation, and it helps with sedation. So it's actually, green tea is actually somewhat of a stimulant, but it can reverse and make it a relaxant. And there's more studies that show that it's been helpful. You'll notice people will take green tea on a daily, not only it's because it is a vasodilator. So why does it relax you? It relaxes the brain by opening up the cellular walls and be able to release out more circulation throughout the body. And in low doses, it's quite effective. Iron, zinc, have been used as neurotransmitter cofactors. Other cofactors are the B vitamins and magnesium. Now, cofactors mean that to be helpful with neurotransmitters, so that you'll know serotonin levels, if they're to have serotonin and dopamine levels to be balanced out, you need cofactors to kind of lock and key or carry throughout the bloodstream and circulate through the body. These are cofactors that help with that. When you're deficient in iron, zinc, magnesium, or B vitamins, you will probably have some sort of neurological issues. And I will tell you, majority of individuals will have some sort of anxiety, depression, autism, or ADHD or cognitive problems, and would you believe, I'm talking about on the lower spectrum, not talking about the severe spectrum, there's most probably a nutrient deficiency. And just by improving some of your cofactors will improve, or taking some of these low dose evidence-based nootropics can really improve your overall health. Now, that doesn't mean it's the one size fits all or it's the fix, but what it does mean is that this, with lifestyle management and your overall, holistic approach, you can do a lot for your body. You really can change it from the inside out, and then adding in some of this can give you the tools that it needs. There's one that I'm not as familiar with. It's called biloba. It's an antioxidant. I've never used it, but people use it for GI upset. Ginkgo biloba I've used. That's been very effective. I found that to be one, if I take too much of it, I feel a little jittery, but that is very good with memory, cognition. That can be good for kids to adults, but depending upon the dosing. So just be careful with that. But it does really help with cerebral blood flow. Magnesium glycinate is quite effective, where there's 3 different types of magnesium. There's a company called Zymogen that has a magnesium blend that's very effective for dementia. And it has 3 blends of magnesium for cognitive ability. If you're talking about for kids, just make sure that you get the ones that are at a lower dose. Now, Rhodiola is an adaptogen. I like Rhodiola and holy basil. Those are helping with modulation of serotonin and dopamine. And the idea for that is it's improving the serotonin uptake. Hi, how's it going? Nice to meet you. If you want to come in, you're welcome to. Faith and family, what's up? Thanks for just stopping in. I appreciate you. And that helps with like kind of jitteriness, more relaxation. There's ashwagandha and holy basil also, but in this aspect, sometimes those, not that those aren't effective, they are also effective, but because we're talking about more of like cognitive enhancement, where rhodiola has, there has been some research that has been shown to be helpful. There are some other adaptogens, but I don't know if there's been full research on it. Not that they won't help, but there hasn't. And then there's one called acetylcholine or CDP choline, enhances the dopamine and acetylcholine. And a lot of people with ADHD have a deficiency in ADHD, or those with brain injury or TBIs have a deficiency in it. So they may need it. And there are different available supplements out there. Now you have to kind of be careful, like anything when you're taking it, they're not FDA approved. They're not necessarily saying this is what it's for. So you just have to, make sure how it's manufactured and where you're getting it, and always start low. But honestly, my best practice in thinking when I'm trying to help someone with any sort of brain fog or deficiency, or whether it's hypo, or depression or anxiety, and I'm trying to get them to get a little bit more focus, I go down to the basics. So omega-3s, B12, magnesium, vitamin D. Keep it down to like, let's start there. And then if it's still some issues, where is it? Is it in the biome? Do I need to do micro testing? Things of that nature. So, but let's keep it simple. Usually it's like B vitamins, iron, magnesium, vitamin D, omega-3. Okay, so that is like what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Iron, not so much for everybody. I'm iron deficient, so iron deficiency for me, but maybe not for you. Now, when you put all of those, either in a one pill, or you take them, you will have some improvement. I promise you, there'll be some improvement. Now, on top of that, lifestyle management, basic lifestyle stuff, proper amounts of sleep, around 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep, if that's doable for you. Exercise, where that is depending upon your age. Mindfulness techniques, that doesn't mean just sitting there. That means how can you make little mindful steps each and every day. Hydration, that's about 64 ounces of water with an electrolyte or a sort of citrus thing. I just went to take a break and I got my seltzer with my collagen and citrus. And screen time reduction. Obviously we're on this, so you're on screen time, but modify that as you can, at least for the evening. Hey, what's up? Nice to see you. If you'd like to come in, you're welcome. And then supporting the gut and brain axis, right? So we're talking about the brain. So we want to improve ourselves by having a gut-brain axis. You can help improve your microbiome. So how do you improve your microbiome? By putting in things of probiotics and anti-inflammatory diets and improving what you put into your body. I don't drink, so for me, alcohol and keeping my liver and my microbiome and is optimal. At my age, it's just what I choose to do. That doesn't mean that you have to choose that, but if you want to make serious changes in your health, you have to change certain parts. And use these evidence-based supplements when needed, and monitor with your family so that they can help you. But there has been research, significantly on omega-3s, L-theanine and caffeine, and the importance of iron in those with ADHD or ASD. So there has been, some improvements there. The reason they have been helpful, like I have stated, is that they're good for memory. They're good for your focus, mental clarity. Now, there's not an official FDA approved on all of them, but there has been a significant amount of research there. Now, some individuals need medication, whether, it's Adderall, there's types of Modafin, there's Rhodiola, there's different medications that are needed, and those you have to go follow your medical professional to discuss that with them and to get therapy. Over-counter supplements, at least if you're going to keep it simple, the main ones I would say is, like I said, is iron, vitamin D, omega-3, and magnesium, different blends depending upon the mornings or the night. And, and then look at the, if you want to look at more of the research, see if things come out, but just look at it low and slow. And the reason caffeine is so effective for those individuals is that that stimulant actually calms for a person with cognitive issues. Most of the time, it helps um, do like the opposite effect. So for those with ADHD and stuff, it is almost like inverse. Increases the focus because it blocks this the added adenosine, and increases the dopamine because we're low in dopamine when you have ADHD or some cognitive issues. So then it will help increase the alertness. But you still want to be careful with the amount of caffeine. Hey, how are you? Who are you? Nice to meet you. I appreciate you coming in. I'm talking about nootropics and the different types and how the evidence base that's there. And I'm just recording about that. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask me. I'm here to help. So the reason why caffeine is a pretty big one, or L-theanine from green tea is really very big, is that the benefits of it is it increases the focus. You're trying to sustain your attention, reduces fatigue, and so people have less medication. The thing with that is that sometimes if you have too much caffeine, it can have almost too much dopamine effect, and then you can actually be drained. So you get that crash. So it's just kind of getting that balance. And it requires, but it will help. Definitely is helpful. That's why some of the ones with the blends are more helpful than just straight caffeine, because you can at least get the magnesium and the omega-3s to kind of balance out some of that excess in the caffeine, so that you can feel a little bit more balanced than just get that quick crash from the caffeine, because you almost literally, that's why people end up having so much coffee, and it eventually can be a detriment and then cause you more anxiety later on. But main things, is keeping that lifestyle management of like your sleep, your keeping the right nutrients in the body, and modifying how much caffeine after, think about it like, hey, how's it going? Thanks for coming in. Think of it like, try to stop caffeine after like 5 hours before bedtime if you can. Safe uses of coffee, it's not bad. You want to just modify anything. Green tea is also very effective if you're going to take it for the afternoon. And that is my general gist of nootropics. I do have a couple that I recommend. I'll probably put them in the podcast or and such, but keep it simple. Think of it for kids, the lower ones, and then in general, I think everyone would benefit again by omega-3, vitamin D, iron if it's in your necessary, L-theanine, and a B vitamin. So there's some multis that will have that. There's some magnesium blends for nighttime for people to sleep. There has been some on melatonin, but with melatonin, you have to make sure that the amount. So does it help you sleep? It will, but it depends upon the dosing. So I think for individuals, if you're taking a low amount, it's okay. The problem that what happens is for individuals that are taking prescription medications, the melatonin has probably been decreased, so they may actually benefit from some melatonin. And when you're going to take it is usually about 30 minutes to an hour before bed. So that may be sometimes, instead of magnesium, sometimes people will take melatonin. I don't like melatonin all the time for long term because it can trigger off the body's mechanism of producing it, but a little low dose of it at times is helpful. Magnesium blends are usually a little bit more helpful for the body. So usually that's my choice, but it doesn't mean that it cannot be used. And sometimes melatonin is actually used during the day to help those that have hyperactivity or actually have problems with focus, and think of it as it's trying to calm down some of that. Another one that's been helpful too has been quercetin or turmeric, and think of that as more of an anti-inflammatory. We're trying to get rid of some of that excess energy in the inflammatory process. I hope some of this information is helpful to you, and I appreciate that you tuned in and we're on the podcast or on this show. So thanks again, and I appreciate it. So I'm going to check out. And if you make sure your days are mindful each and every day.
Thank you for listening to the Mindfully Integrative Show with Dr. Damaris Maria Grossman, family nurse practitioner. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not to substitute for professional medical advice, diagnose, or treat. Always consult your healthcare provider before making changes to your healthcare routine. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you enjoyed our show, please support us by leaving a mindful review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite streaming platform. Interested in being a guest or more information? Email us at info@mindfullyintegrative.com. For resources mentioned in the show, visit our website at www.mindfullyintegrative.com. You can also connect mindfully with Dr. Damaris on her social media links found on the site. May your strength and peace guide you to find a mindful way every day. Namaste.